Welcome to another edition of the Giants Guys. I'm John Fennelly, and with me today is from nygiantsrush.com, Mr. Craig Santucci. He is a constant contributor, not constant, but he's a very frequent contributor here on our podcast, and we're glad to have him back. Craig, how are you?
Good, John, and I'm glad football is back.
And it's back in a big way. Last night there was a whole bunch of games in the NFL Thursday night, and the Giants were one of them, and we want to talk about that game. They played the Cleveland Browns, who for some reason didn't have a stripe down the middle of their helmet. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, I noticed that, and it seems like this is the new Browns.
Yeah, I guess they just want to get rid of that and go with it's not even a brown helmet. It's always been an orange helmet, and that's what they have now. But I guess maybe to put the stripe on with a regular season. I'm not sure how they'll do it, but it doesn't really matter because they've only won one game in the last 32 in the last two seasons. So we'll see if that helps them. But they won one last night here in New Jersey against the Giants, and let's talk about that game. The Giants came out. They got a big play right off the bat from their first-round draft pick, Saquon Barkley, and what were you thinking when he ripped off that 39-yard run?
Maybe a little bit relieved. The hype was coming really fast and furious in every news channel, every blog, everywhere about he was the next star. So part of me was relieved that he's going to be the real deal, and there's a high ceiling for the guy. The other part of me had like this flashback to Rodney Hampton, 28 years ago. Rodney Hampton touches the ball his first time in preseason and goes 90 yards. So, I was, exhilarated and excited. But it just felt like the monkey was off his back. Like, it was okay. The kid can play, and if you break down some of that film a little bit on that run, he made three fantastic moves.
Yeah, and then the next four rushes, he got 4 yards total. So that's what Barry Sanders used to do. He would go 1 yard, 90 yards, 1 yard, 1 yard, 50 yards, 1 yard, one. I mean, yeah. He was just a guy who broke away. I mean, he wasn't like Emmitt Smith getting 4 yards every time he touched the ball.
Yeah, in fact, when Sanders ran the ball, it actually not only was it 1 yard, it was loss of 2, loss of 3.
He would lose yards.
1.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would do that, but then he'd make you pay the next time he touched the ball.
Exactly. I mean, again, all I wanted to do is, I knew he was probably only going to get, 5 to 6 carries. All I wanted to see him to do was, make a block, shake a linebacker, drop his shoulder, and be out. And he grinded out a couple yards here and there. After that, but it was just nice to see that, okay, regardless if he's home run hitter or not, he can play. It's not all hype.
Right, and I think we all figured that. It was good to see. It was exciting, but that's the highlight of the game. They didn't do much after that, and I was kind of disappointed because I thought that the passing game would go a little bit better, and it didn't. I know Beckham didn't play. I know Ingram didn't get any. I don't think he got any targets at all in that game.
No, I don't remember him getting any targets either. I mean, it was mostly, the younger guys like Bundy and Lewis and Sharp.
Right. So, people read too much into this game. Oh, they lost, but, nobody played. The offensive line played 16 plays, according to what I saw. They had 16 plays together. And, they kind of gelled a little bit. I think they got a surge on a couple of plays. They protected the passer for the most part. I mean, there was a sack there. I think it was a miscommunication. And Jonathan Stewart was the running back in the backfield. And he whiffed. I think it was our old friend Michael Kendricks from the Eagles who sacked Eli. And, Stewart could have had him easily. I mean, they just didn't pick up the blitz. So other than that, I think they held their own. I mean, it's their first game together. It's a brand new line. You got 5 guys in 5 new positions. So,
yeah, I don't know what the expectations were. I guess everybody's really excited about the new look Giants. new coach, new GM, new players, just new perspective on handling the media. Everything's new, so people are excited, and I don't blame people for being disappointed because I will say it looked like a practice to me. I guess the word I sent a tweet out today that I was disappointed because I didn't see a whole lot of passion. I didn't see bodies flying around. It didn't feel like people were trying to earn a job. It felt like another practice. And to kind of expound on that, I pulled the box score, right? The Adams, who I like a lot, the safety, right. Number 33.
Yep.
He led the team in tackles with 6. The next guy was Kerry Wynn with 3. No one had more than the rest of the entire team. The entire defensive unit, no one had more than 2 tackles. Like, to me, that kind of says something. Like, maybe these guys are just a little bit too laid back. I'm not talking about the starters like Collins or Snacks. But these other guys that are fighting for a job like Avery Moss and Lorenzo Carter, the new draft pick, Ray Armstrong, Okwara, they did nothing. Like they had literally had a whole game to play, and they had two tackles.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, they only played 20 snaps or whatever they played. Most of them, the starters didn't even play that many. But they did stop the run very well. I mean, yeah. Cleveland only had 50 yards rushing the whole game. But the one thing they didn't do, and you could probably attribute this to Darian Thompson going down with a hamstring during the game, and Adams coming in the game and trying to play in the box. They didn't defend the pass very well. And, that was very disappointing. And Pat Shermer, the head coach, said that at halftime, and he also said that after the game, that he didn't like the way they were covering in pass coverage. He didn't like the way they were performing out there. And, that's a tough thing because Ogletree got smoked by David Njoku. And then Njoku scores again in the end zone with 3 guys around him. He picks the ball out of the air. I mean, they just don't know how to cover tight ends still. For some reason, why is this happening? This is a brand new defense, a different defensive alignment. We haven't had a 3-4 defense here since 1993.
Yeah.
Dan Reeves' first year. Rod Rust. No, it wasn't Rod Rust. It was Mike Nolan who was the defensive coordinator. Rust was before him. But, they should be able to figure this out. Why can't they cover tight ends? What is it about these seam routes that they don't get? Is it because they're too aggressive in the box up front? Guys release and get past them? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't have the game tape. I'd love to sit and watch it. I know Brian Baldinger is a great analyst that breaks down a ton of tape. So following him is always great to do because he gives you some great insight. But you can probably point in a lot of things like maybe the outside linebackers aren't as good as we expected. Maybe we're too aggressive with blitzes. We played in the box too much. You're not going to be able to point your finger at it, but it's been 15 years since the Giants covered a tight end or shut a tight end down. But then again, how much did Apple play? Jenkins didn't play. How many snaps did Collins even get?
Yeah, these guys all got 20 and under. I mean, they weren't out on the field very long. And like I said, they stuffed the run. I mean, nobody got anywhere. I mean, Cleveland doesn't run the ball very well anyway. But, the pass, Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield are not known to have strong arms. We saw Mayfield last night. He looked very impressive, the way he handled himself and moved around in the pocket. But, they should be able to defend these guys. And last night, it just too many of these guys had their back to the quarterback when they were trying to cover receivers. Yep. And to me, the back shoulder kills you all the time when you do that. If you have your back to the quarterback, you're never going to be able to defend the back shoulder, never going to be able to basically defend any kind of pass that you don't even know is coming.
Yeah, I mean, having played a little corner, a little safety in college, we were always taught, to keep a hand on a hip, run stride for stride with that, with that receiver, and then when his eyes get big, you got to snap your head back and look for the ball. And I don't know if a lot of that technique is taught because a lot of these young guys, even Jenkins does it. He happens to do it better than anyone else, but it's almost like face guarding. Like he's basically going to wait till the ball hits you in the hands because you can't see it because your back's to the ball, and then he's going to try to knock it loose. I mean, if you watch a lot of how Jenkins plays, he's more about the knocking the ball free from you than intercepting the ball or just having great coverage. He's more of a disruptor than anything. You watch him because he can't see the ball coming. A lot of them play with their backs to the ball. The ball goes up, the receiver goes to catch the ball, and they jam that hand, in the middle of their two hands, dislodging the ball. It might just be a new technique, but I see a lot of young corners do it. It's not like old school, like I mentioned here, like, running stride for stride, looking at the receiver, snapping your head around, and picking it off or knocking it down. So it might just be a old school, new school. But yeah, I see a ton of guys playing with their back against the ball. You mentioned a minute ago about stopping the run. Just wanted to, put out the stat there for, anybody listening. You got, Days had 13 yards. Mayfield had 13 yards. Chubb had 11 yards. And Hilliard had 9 yards.
Chubb had 11 yards on 15 carries.
Chubb had, 15 carries, on 11 yards. I mean, that's a 0.7 average, per carry. They did great up front, whether it was Thomas or Snacks or Hill or, the rotation they had. Herslick was up there mixing it up. I mean, they did real well up front. But, yeah, the pass defense is definitely still a work in progress.
Yeah, do you think they have a speed issue at linebacker?
You mean like our guys
because they overcompensate the run, and they want to be able to blitz. But can these guys cover in space? I mean, you look at Olivier Vernon, the rookie Carter. You look at Connor Baldwin. Even Ogletree and Goodson. I mean, can they really cover in space? Or are they just tacklers? The guy will catch the ball and they'll tackle him. I don't think that's a good way to play defense. I think you really need to stay on the receivers as much as you can, because if they can't get home, anybody who can extend the play, a quarterback, is going to be able to get that pass off.
Is it Sean Chandler? Is he the one that came from Arizona?
No, he didn't come from Arizona. No.
Who's the linebacker they signed from Arizona?
Oh, Kareem Martin. Yeah.
I always thought that Martin was good in coverage, but yeah,
he's kind of big. He's like 6'6", 270. I mean, you can't expect much. He can't cover a running back or a fleet tight end. I don't expect him to stick one of those guys.
No, but he was always long, long and tall. It's a good question. You may have more like defensive ends. I mean, but Barwin, who I really like, Barwin could play defensive end or linebacker. He did a lot of, stuff for the Eagles, putting his hand in the dirt and playing in a 2-point stance. I don't know. Maybe, you got Lorenzo Carter, you drafted him. He should be quick enough to cover a back or a hybrid tight end, tight end wide receiver. Yeah. So maybe it's just about the personnel they're using.
I think that they'll be working on that this week. Because they're going to play the Lions. Not that the Lions are a great team, but they're going to scrimmage a couple of days against the Lions, and then they'll play them next Friday night. But the thing is that if you can't cover in the back seven, I mean, the secondary to me is kind of thin. If the back seven can't really cover, and you only have 3 guys up front, I mean, this is, to me, I had an issue watching this game last night. I didn't like what I saw. I know their linemen are good. Dalvin Tomlinson is a comer. He only played a few snaps and snacks, and the rookie B.J. Hill, and they have some of the backups that played pretty well. But, I worry about that linebacker group gelling. And when I saw Ogletree miss the release on Njoku and let him get behind him, I said to myself, I'm not the only one who saw this. Other teams see this also. And, even though that kid is a good tight end, there's better tight ends than him in this league. You'll be playing against Zach Ertz. You'll be playing against, Jordan Reed, other guys like that. I mean, you really have to figure out how to keep these guys contained. I mean, because that was a big play and an easy one for Cleveland last night. And the Giants looked at each other like, wow, we didn't see that coming. And they should have seen it coming.
Well, I'm hoping that Lorenzo, I don't know, I think they call him Zoe Carter. I'm hoping that he's that guy you're thinking about, like somebody that can, move around, like maybe I don't want to say like Jaquan Williams. I'm just trying to think of like a linebacker that the Giants have had over the years that was good in space. Not
many.
No. Well, they were also playing the 4-3, but they've had a couple. You joker linebackers or monster backs. Jesse Armstead. Jesse was great in coverage.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a guy there, like more of a hybrid guy that they can find. It might be Carter. He's 6'5", he's 250. He's tall and I don't want to say lanky, but he's tall and wiry. He should be able to kind of move around with a good wingspan, to get him out there. They got enough pass rushers, so yeah, it's going to be interesting how it unfolds because, like you said, it's a pass rush that's in development. The back seven, are going to need some attention because you're already thin at corner. You're thin at safety. But you know what though, John? They weren't going to fix all these problems in 1 year. So some of it has to do with patience. Some of it has to do with guys are just going to have to step up and play better. And then maybe there's an unsung hero, maybe somewhere on the roster that can step up and make a difference too.
Yeah, in Arizona, James Betcher, the new defensive coordinator, used what they call a money backer. That was Deion Buchanan. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's about 6 foot, 6'1", maybe about 220. He's a big safety. They used him as a linebacker, kind of like a spy linebacker. The Giants have Landon Collins. I don't know if they want to use him like that, but I see that coming because they need somebody to cover in the middle of the field that has a bigger body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't think Goodson or Ogletree are going to be able to do that. And that's why I sensed danger last night. As soon as I saw a couple of the passing plays, I said, these guys are too slow. These guys are too slow going laterally and going backwards. They could go forward fine. Somebody has the ball in front of them, they'll get them.
Yeah, but, Goodson's definitely a downhill guy. He was a downhill thumper, in Clemson. I'm pretty sure it was Clemson in college. I always thought Ogletree was a super fast guy. I mean, look, from sideline to sideline. Again, maybe, my perspective might be a little bit jaded.
Against
but I
the
just
run.
Didn't. Yeah, against the run, exactly, against the run. And I just didn't think they had a whole lot of heart or passion last night. There wasn't a lot of guys flying around. If you move Collins down into the box permanently or this money backer that you're talking about, I mean, I'm not saying that the guy didn't have a great year last year because he didn't. He did not have a great year last year. He played with that broken forearm. But the year before, he played lights out. So if you move him up to this money backer spot, I mean, you're really thin now at free and strong safety.
Yeah, they would have essentially 5 linebackers at that point.
Yeah, and can you get away with it is the question because
depends on who you're playing against, I guess.
Yeah, good point. And the Giants have a schedule. I don't know how you go 3-13 and play like 6 playoff teams this year.
Yeah, they have, I think, the 8th most difficult schedule But, a lot of that's predetermined. You're playing certain divisions around the league, and it's on a rotation basis. So they're playing the AFC South and the NFC South, two very strong divisions. The AFC South was a weak division only up until about 2 years ago. Jacksonville got better. Houston wasn't that good last year, but they're better now. If Deshaun Watson plays, Watt was out last year. And then they have Indianapolis, who took a year off. Now Andrew Luck is back. So, and who's the other team? Oh, Tennessee. They're a playoff team. So you're playing 4 pretty decent teams, and then the NFC South, of course, Atlanta and New Orleans. Tampa Bay won't have Winston. I don't know if they're going to play. If he's going to be there when they play. I think he is. But and Carolina, of course. Always a tough team. So they have their own division, and then they have these 2 divisions to deal with. And, people are predicting 10 wins, and I'm like, don't get too crazy about that. Don't. It's nice to shoot for the moon, but some of these teams are established teams. I mean, Atlanta is a very good team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's
New Orleans should have been in the Super Bowl last year, if you ask me.
Yeah, one play made a big difference in their postseason. But no, you're right on. Like, I love the enthusiasm and this team, but you're just not going to go, with a complete overhaul from 3 wins and go to 10, 11 wins. Now, I'm looking at the roster, the schedule. I mean, you're starting off with Jacksonville. Tom Coughlin's got that team firing. They gave Bortles some money, so he's got the monkey off his back. He probably feels, that he belongs. The Texans are definitely improved, got their QB back. Panthers are always gonna be always hard to beat. The Falcons are no joke. The 49ers are a hot team. That guy hasn't lost a game yet.
I forgot about that. The 49ers are one team, and I forget who they're playing from the Central. Who is it they're playing from the Central? Oh, Chicago, I think.
Yeah, Chicago. I mean, I just don't see it. Like, I mean, if everything went right, I can see 8-8. But listen, the Colts are going to throw the ball on you. The Saints are going to throw the ball on you. The
Eagles are definitely going to throw the ball on you.
The Eagles are going to throw the ball on you. I mean, it's. I'm assuming that the Texans are going to try to throw the ball on you. If the kid is healthy.
He is coming back. He's healthy, and when he came in last year, I mean, he's throwing for 400 yards. This guy.
Yeah, he's got a rocket arm and he slings it. So
he can move around in the pocket. He can extend plays. He's smart. I mean, they did the right thing by drafting him, and other teams are thinking to themselves, "Wow, what did we miss?" Well, you didn't miss much because it was always there. When he was at Clemson, he showed you, how good he was, and now he's in the NFL and in the right situation. You know how that could be.
Yep, and of course you got, like you alluded to a minute ago, and Andrew Luck. So, I don't see any of these teams just purely running on the Giants, with the front 4 they have. But you've got, let me see, Bortles doesn't scare me throwing the ball, but Mahomes does. You talk about tight ends. Listen, there's not a better tight end in football right now than Greg Olsen. That guy will put 100 on you and 2 touchdowns in the blink of an eye. Garoppolo's throwing the ball over the map. So's it Wentz or Foles. Andrew Luck's, that's what he's known for. Drew Brees. I mean, guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Cam Newton.
I mean, these boys can
even
throw.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, but he doesn't scare me though, because Winston.
The only team he scares, the only fans he scares is his own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What guy's going to show up? But so you're realistically going to have a great pass rush. To let that defensive linebacker core gel, or it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, and the secondary, like I said, at corner, they drafted in the supplemental draft. They drafted this kid Sam Beal out of Western Michigan. We all thought it was a great pick. Way to go. A third-round pick in 2019 for a kid that's probably going to be a first-rounder if he stays in.
Yep.
Next year. If he played, now that was the whole thing. He was about to lose his eligibility and maybe would have had to sit out the whole year. So that's why he entered this supplemental draft, and the Giants waited 2 rounds, and then they put a third-round bid in on him. And since they're so high up on the, they were number 2, so they have the number 2 slot, they were able to get him, and unfortunately he blows out his shoulder in the first practice.
Yeah, I can't believe that. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if
that not only hurt him, it hurts the whole plan.
What's your thought? I mean, you think he had a shoulder issue to begin with?
Yeah, he did, and from what I understand from my guys that were there, he ran into another guy in the rookie practice before camp started, and re-aggravated the shoulder. They did a test, and they said, well, we got to operate. It's a separation, and they had to be surgically repaired. So that blows his whole season. And, that kind of like takes the sting out of getting this kid in early and hopefully contributing this year and then developing into a good player. Now he's just going to be another rookie next year.
Do you see the Giants picking somebody up, after cut downs?
At cornerback?
No, yeah, corner or safety. You see them actually looking to pick somebody up?
Here's the issue. They're under they only have like $1 million in cap space. They're really thin on cap space. I think they have the least amount in the league right now. So if they're going to do something like that, they're going to have to make some hard choices somewhere else. You don't have to set your cap, your top 51 until September 1st. And, then again, there's a lot of dead money you got to deal with. And, you don't like to flush money down the drain. The guy has to be the right guy. I don't know who that would be. Who could you get for under $1 million in this league that's worth anything? Not even a rookie.
I would say usually nobody.
Yeah. So that they're not going to get anybody. I don't think. I think you're looking at you're looking at it right now. Unless they can make a cut or somebody takes a pay cut, and that's always a tough ask.
What did changing gears? What did you think of the offensive side of the ball last night? Past Barkley.
I didn't like what I saw at all. Of course, Beckham didn't play. Like we said, Ingram didn't really play. I thought Davis Webb was, I didn't like anything about his game. He's a tall kid, has an overhand delivery, throws the ball high to begin with, and he was a little nervous, and he was wild high. And you know how bad if you're a receiver, you don't have to stretch for a ball.
Lights out.
Yeah, it's not good. So he's high and wide on everything. And then Shermer straightened it out. He sent in a couple of plays. We're going to have some crossing patterns where you've got to change your delivery to a 2 o'clock delivery. You lower your arm a little bit. And then he hit a couple of those passes and got comfortable. But then, at the end of the half, he let the clock run out. He didn't really have full control of the huddle there.
Yeah.
He rolled out to his left, which quarterbacks really shouldn't be doing if you're right-handed. And then he did not dump the ball when he was under pressure. You got to learn how to get rid of that ball. Instead, he ran out of bounds and lost yards. I mean, he made mistake after mistake after mistake.
I know it's preseason, but I guess I had this conversation, and I think I'm going to put something on NY Giants Rush about it because my concern is this, and I'm not trying to nitpick on the guy, and it is preseason, and it is the Browns, and you can find an excuse all day long, but the kid on the other side of the ball, on the other side of the line, Baker Mayfield, he was a rookie.
Yeah.
He was playing with the second team. The owner already said that Tyrod Taylor's the starter. I mean, so this kid had nothing to lose, and he just came in and slung it. And you can feel the energy from the kid. You could see how dynamic he was. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's making the throws between 2 giant safeties over the linebacker to hit Njoku at the end zone. What a great ball. A couple passes on the sidelines he threw. Set his feet. couple people said he played like Drew Brees, where he's constantly looking downfield regardless of what's around him.
Yep.
I don't want to like Baker Mayfield. I think his off-field stuff makes him a clown. But, I was thoroughly impressed, with his skills. I didn't see anything dynamic about Webb. Nothing. Like, there wasn't a moment where I was like, whoa, that kid's just got it. Or, wow, nice throw, nice roll up. Nothing. He looked like a deer in the headlights.
Yep.
And to me, I think there's players and then there's players. The guy who steps in and just gets it done is a guy you're like, man, this is the guy we go with. It was like when Beckham stepped on the field or when Barkley just stepped on the field. Or you look at plenty of quarterbacks. When they step on the field, they just make things happen. And it just didn't see it. Like, I'm not trying to be hard on him. You don't get that vibe. You just kind of get a guy he's holding a space.
It won't be long before the other kid passes him by. Lauletta.
You like him?
Yeah, he's more composed. You can see it right off the bat. He doesn't have as strong as arm, but his arm, arm isn't everything. I mean, Mayfield doesn't have a strong arm either.
No, he's got that sling when he throws.
But, he managed to complete passes. It's all about your knowledge of the game. What you think, what your talents are, what you can do. And, you can't choke. And I think that Davis Webb choked a little bit last night. That wasn't very becoming. I mean, he's looked very good in practice. Throws the ball nicely. Has hit a lot of long passes. But last night he just didn't have it. So he'll get another chance next week, but he won't get too many if he plays like this. I mean, they're just going to really. He wasn't drafted by this regime. Lauletta was, so they're probably already looking for any kind of reason to leapfrog one kid over the other here. I don't know how you feel about it.
My thing with Lauletta, how do you say it, Lauletta, was his competition in college. I mean, he didn't play anybody. I mean,
neither did Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right, fair enough.
That's who they're comparing him to.
Well, I don't know. Garoppolo's got a way better arm, don't you think?
I think he does, but he's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not he's not Andrew Luck or these other naturals.
Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean he's good. He's just a smart player. He knows how to make plays. He knows how to win games. And I think Lauletta has that same kind of chip on his shoulder, that same kind of mojo. Where Davis Webb doesn't have it, like you're saying. He just doesn't look like he's in command.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I just, I always worry about that guy where the game's too big for him. I'm like, all right, this guy played at Richmond. I'm like, that's like,
Yeah, Phil Simms played at Morehead State. Did anybody know where that was before he showed up?
Listen, it's so funny because
I still don't. I don't think they televise Morehead State games to this day.
Yeah. No, listen. I'm not. You are 100% right, but I'm like, it's hard to compare with Simms because just of the era. But I just long as he can play, I mean, and make things happen, command the offense, make the throws, he'll get a shot. And like you said, if they like him enough, he'll Davis Webb will be, he'll be the next Ryan Nassib and he'll be on his way. Except for I hope we don't hold on to him for 6 years like we did with Nassib.
That's right. Yeah. All right. One last thing. Going into the season, special teams, they really wanted to beef up the special teams. And last night we saw a little bit of what they could do. I think they kicked one field goal, right? That was it. And the kid made it. I think it was a 42-yarder. Aldrich Rosas made it. The punter punted 10 times, Riley Dixon.
Yes.
To me, I saw 1,000% difference, improvement over Brad Wing last year. What do you think?
Oh, no. Yeah, 100% difference. I mean, Wing, you were kind of hoping it was going to happen. I mean, I'm looking for the stat right now. I mean, he hit the snot out of the ball.
He kicked a 62-yarder. He netted 40. I think it was 44 on the night, but 39. They had one run back on them, but and then there was a one they could have downed on the 1 yard line. It got away from it. I think it was Roger Lewis.
But by the way, that's funny you bring that up because I was going to say something, but I thought we were running out of time. I cannot stand Roger Lewis anymore. I mean, he doesn't make any catches. He's supposed to be, like, hey, man, Beckham took him under his wing and all this stuff, and him and Cruz. The guy is so unimpressive. And then when he has a chance to make a play and down that ball on the 1 yard line, what's he do? He totally spaces out and lets the ball go in the end zone. Like, I don't know. I don't know how many chances this guy gets because that was a great kick. He had an opportunity to make a big play and buy himself another week on this team. I don't see it. I don't see Roger Lewis at all. So, yeah, Dixon is definitely an improvement. I was a little concerned that the new special teams coach got ill and they brought Quinn back because that guy's been terrible for a long time. So if this special teams gets better and Quinn's still here, that's a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were surprised when Quinn showed up at camp. They were like, "What is he doing here?" And Thomas McGahee, the new coach, who used to be Quinn's assistant, if you recall, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he got sick, got ill.
He got sick. He's back now, and I think that the special teams will be better. I think we saw good coverage last night. The new kickoff rules kind of help too. But the thing is that they're not getting the run backs. Last night I think Hunter Sharp had a decent run back. He's a guy they want to run back kicks for them, punts and kickoffs. So I think he'll make this team, and that means there's going to be one less wide receiver on the roster if he makes this team.
Yeah, I mean Sharp.
I think you have an idea who you want to cut.
Oh my! I can't do it. I can't do another year of Mr. Handshake. I can't do it. Like, I just don't think he brings a whole lot to the table. Now, I guess if push comes to shove and you're looking at, there's a lot of receivers. I don't know if you looked at the roster, but there's a ton of wide receivers. All young guys. So, yeah, if they need to keep Sharp, who's about the size of him and Beckham aren't far off. What's it? Beckham's 5'11", 198. Put it this way: Sharp is the same exact size as Beckham.
Yeah.
So
well, if you look at the depth chart, you have Shepard, you have Beckham, you have Cody Latimer, who they really love, who didn't really play that much last night. They have Lewis, they have Sharp, they have Khalif Raymond, they have Bundy,
and Shepard, the other
Russell Shepard. Yeah, so they have a lot of competition. You'll probably keep 6 or 7 of these guys. I think they got 9 of them right now, maybe 10.
The one guy's name I can't even say. Obama Ito.
Yes, he's been very impressive.
And he's big. I mean, he's
he's about 6'2"ish. Yeah.
Yep, and came from Syracuse. Now I don't think Syracuse isn't known for a team to throw the ball over. Throw the rock.
He started at Maryland and then he transferred to Syracuse.
Okay. So they, I've got no problem with keeping Sharp because it's been a long time since the Giants actually had a real return guy.
Yeah, I mean, kickoffs are one thing, but punts are still the same. They didn't change the punt rules; they changed the kickoff rules. And you really need a guy that's just going to, first of all, catch the ball, and try to make a play out of it instead of just standing there and let it go or call a fair catch. Anybody could do that. Maybe this guy could do something. They really have to change the dynamic of a game on special teams. They haven't been able to do that in the last couple of years. And if they're going to turn things around, they're going to need to do it on special teams. It's going to be all 3 facets. They're going to have to be better on special teams.
Yeah, we haven't had – I can't tell you the last time we had a legit punt returner or a legit kick returner. I mean, taking Beckham out of it, like when their backs are to the wall.
Well, you don't want to see him out there.
No, we don't want to see Jason Sehorn again.
No, you don't want to see him or Shepard do it.
No. We all know what happens when you put your star player back there and they get hurt, And next thing you know, you're like, well, why did you do that? I mean, we saw Jason Sehorn tear his ACL and his MCL in a preseason game. He was never the same.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that happen to Shepard. You don't want to see it happen to Beckham.
You want to get yourself a specialist that can do it.
Yep.
And I think they have a Khalif Raymond did a decent job, and hopefully Sharp could do a decent job.
The only problem, John, you're going to have with Raymond is he's not NFL size. I mean,
he's small. He's like 170 pounds.
No, he's 160 pounds.
There you go.
I mean, at 160 pounds, you're dead if someone hits you. I mean, you may not live.
Then make him miss.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? He'll be a great returner because he'll be running for his life. Because if one NFL, third string linebacker looking to make the team hits him, that dude's going to get broken in half.
Yeah, he did okay last year, but like I said, you need somebody who's going to make an impact. Just can't have a guy back there catching the ball and calling a fair catch. So let's see how they do in the next couple of weeks. I mean, last night was not a good indicator for anything, if you ask me.
The line had a couple moments.
Well, the offensive line?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did all right. I like the way Will Hernandez plays. I like Jalapio at center. Jalapio or Jalapio? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard it both ways.
Yeah, so have I. I mean, and the coach said it both ways too. They just call him Pio.
Exactly, they call him Pio. Exactly.
Just bypass the whole thing. I think he's probably going to win the center job. And Patrick Obame, jury's still out. Flowers, jury's still out on the right side.
Well, you don't have anybody to replace Flowers, whether you like it or not, right?
No, the backup tackles to me, Chad Wheeler and Nick Becton. I don't even know who Nick Becton is. Chad Wheeler, I know, played at USC.
Yeah, and Wheeler had a couple, decent outings last year, but not a full game.
I think it was you that said this. You don't like the way he's built.
No.
Is that the one? Are you the guy that said that to me?
Yeah, he's built funny.
Like a basketball player.
Like a basketball player. Yeah, and he's got narrow shoulders, Yeah. He when you look at Solder, you're like, that guy's yeah. It looks like Wheeler's got big hips and he's got these really tiny shoulders. So it just doesn't look like he commands enough wingspan. It just, I don't know. It's if you watch it long enough, you know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I don't understand why they don't have more depth there. Quarterback, they have a ton of guys in camp. I mean, a couple of guys were hurt. Beal got hurt. Curtis Riley didn't play last night. William Gay didn't play. Apple only played a series or two. But left tackle or right tackle, the tackle positions, they need more depth, more experience. And, they were putting John Jerry there last week in practice.
I heard that, and I was cringing.
So you could tell they're desperate, and they have no money to spend. So that's a huge concern going forward.
I was wondering if there was any shot Greco could play tackle, but it doesn't look like they're giving him any snaps out there.
I haven't seen him play tackle at all, to be honest with you. I think he'll make the team, but, he's an interior lineman.
Yeah. I mean, they're limited. It's going to probably be, it's Wheeler or it's Flowers. I don't really know how much, alternatives you have.
No, you don't have many.
Like I said, unless somebody gets cut from another team that you like.
But then again, you would have to make cap space for that, and they don't seem to have any right now. And now that they're trying to work on Beckham's new contract.
You got two kickers on the team.
Well,
you got a couple extra wide receivers.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know.
It's not going to add up to a lot of money if you release these guys. The top 51 is still going to be cutting it close. You're going to be razor thin there.
So I don't know. Well, speaking of rosters, I don't know if you saw today that the Chargers lost their second starting tight end in like 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah? I didn't see that.
They're devastated at tight end. They've got nobody. So, if I'm the Giants, I'm calling the Chargers, and I'm dealing Adams tomorrow. Because right now on the roster, the Giants have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how good O'Malley is, or Dickerson.
He didn't play last night. He was a DNP. I don't think he'll make the team.
Okay, or Simonson. But, Red Ellison and Ingram are your 1 and your 2.
Right.
Maybe it's O'Malley, maybe it's Simpson, but they should trade Darrell Adams tomorrow. The Chargers literally just had both their tight ends go down with ACL injuries. If they're smart, they're calling San Diego and they're dealing the kid tomorrow.
Well, they're not gonna do it tomorrow. They're gonna wait, but we'll see. That's a tough situation when guys get hurt in preseason. I hate to see that. But, Adams has looked pretty good. I mean, he's been very good in camp.
I don't
one of
like
the other
his
guys who was on this show was there, and he said he's really, composing. He's comporting himself very well. He's catching the ball. He can block. He's kind of like when he came out of South Carolina, he was the 6th-round pick, I think, and he had the fastest time of any tight end in the combine.
It's got to be something to it, though.
The previous coaching staff, to me, they kind of dropped the ball on a few players. They did not develop.
Yeah.
And you've got to develop guys. You've got to make sure that everybody who's dressing and all of your 53 can play for you. And I don't think McAdoo and his staff did that. There were plenty of guys on that roster that they just did not dress, didn't want to put in games.
Look, Shane Vereen never got any time. Wayne Gallman never got any time. Wayne Gallman should have gotten a ton of reps last year to find out if the kid could play.
Yeah.
He got nothing. We got like 2 carries a game.
Yeah, and he's a guy who's actually a 3-down back because he can block.
Yep, and you don't know anything about him.
Well, we know about him now.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying in general, you're like, what can this kid do? What can Adams do? I mean, you took Shane Vereen, who the year prior to that should have been voted Super Bowl MVP. He comes to the Giants, and he's basically invisible.
I mean, he falls flat on his face.
Yeah.
They didn't utilize him properly, and then he had the injury problems. But
old regime versus new regime. At least we have something to look forward to. There should be a lot of enthusiasm for this year's team. And then you got Friday at 7:00. You got the Detroit Lions.
You got it. All right, so we'll be doing this hopefully once a week once the season starts. And Craig, thanks for joining us again. Don't forget what's your URL? nygiantsrush.com.
Yep, nygiantsrush.com. Plenty of content up there, new content weekly, and give a shout out to some of our writers. Follow them and see what they're doing.
All right, man. Thanks again.
You got it, John. Talk soon.
You got it.
How was that?